So we have a half hour left in the film. We know nothing about its main character, and we sympathize with the main villains. Let's see if the dramatic conclusion will remedy this.
Here we continue to follow Hector Hammond, the best character in the movie. Hector is on his computer for some reason and is approached by Amanda Waller, the government agent who originally recruited him to dissect the dead Green Lantern alien. Then this happens.
See you later, Mom.
I love you.
Bye, baby.
The hell was that? Am I still watching the same movie?
For some reason, we get a flashback skimming the background of the Amanda Waller character. Unfortunately, like so many things in this movie, this never comes up again. I suppose this might be relevant to readers of the comics who actually know what these random clips mean, but for your average moviegoer who comprises a majority of the audience, this means nothing. It just eats up more screen time that could have been devoted to developing the main characters.
So, while Hector begins to attack Amanda and his father, Hal stands in a field. He remembers what the Fishman told him about the importance of the Green Lantern Corps, and silently decides to himself that he does want to be a Green Lantern after all. This provides a really quick resolution to Hal's inner conflict, and it just renders the entire Hal quitting being Green Lantern storyline unnecessary. Although Hal had told the Lanterns that he doesn't want to join them, he still nonetheless keeps the ring, shows off to his friends, and even uses it to save lives. Thus, even though Hal has supposedly quit the Corps, he is still doing the exact same things he would have done had he not quit. Hal quitting being Green Lantern never actually impacts the story in any way, as whenever there's trouble, Hal doesn't hesitate to use his powers to help others, despite all the scenes like this one where he talks about how he quit.
Well, technically speaking, I actually sort of quit.
Hector continues his havoc in the lab where he displays the usefulness of his powers. It's not bad, though the quote-unquote conclusion to the Amanda Waller character is something that looks like it belongs in Looney Tunes.
So, without any prior knowledge as to where the secret base is, what the scientists are doing, and what the nature of the trouble is, Hal breaks through the wall of the building to save the day. I understand that the ring tells him where and when trouble is happening, but without showing a scene first where Hal learns about the nature of the trouble, it just feels like bad editing. The ensuing battle between Hal and Hector actually isn't that bad, but it would have been so much better had there been a bit more context. We still don't even know how well Hal and Hector even know each other. They seem familiar with each other's names and everything, but they've only shared about 30 seconds of screen time together before this. This is literally the only time we've seen them together, and it's just a quick passing moment that's played mostly for comedy.
So Sinestro finally completes the evil yellow ring to fight, well, evil. Then Hal comes out of nowhere saying that he needs the Lantern's help to save the Earth from Parallax.
You gotta help me save my world.
We simply cannot risk losing everything on the chance you might be right.
Huh. So the Guardians, the leaders of the Green Lantern Corps, not only want to embrace the evil yellow power of fear, but they also want to not help the Earth. Are the Green Lanterns even good guys? Also, Parallax gets stronger with every planet he eats. So wouldn't it make more sense to fight him before he eats the Earth?
So Hal goes home. This scene is the stupidest scene in the entire movie. Hal enters a building where Hector is keeping Carol prisoner. Wait, what?
Look closely.
Okay, we never saw Hector kidnap Carol. We never saw Hal learning Carol was kidnapped. Yet now we walk in on this scene with just as much context as would a person who is just tuning into the movie now. This movie makes no sense. Alright, so Carol is kidnapped by Hector, apparently. Why would Hector do this?
I loved her from the moment I first saw her. But she could never see me as you were always standing in the way. But not anymore.
What? Where is all this coming from? We had one moment earlier where Hector talked to Carol, but there has never been anything to establish this. There's no context for this. Why is this happening? There definitely should have been something to put Hector's actions into context, because now I just feel like I don't know why any of the characters do anything anymore. So, Hal defeats Hector, and then Parallax shows up. Parallax says,
"You have failed me."
What? Okay, this is getting really confusing. How does Hector's quest to get Blake Lively to date him have anything to do with Parallax's quest to destroy the entire planet?
Parallax goes to start mayhem in the city, so Hal fights him and is nearly killed. In a decent bit of overcoming his weaknesses, whatever they are, Hal does the lantern chant and gets the upper hand.
I feel your fear growing. You will be dead soon.
Bright is dead. Black is
And when you're gone, I'll destroy everything you ever loved.
no evil shall escape my son.
Hal draws Parallax from the earth and remembers something Kilowog said.
The bigger you are, the quicker you burn.
It's insulting to the audience's intelligence that Hal was able to defeat the monster that no other Lantern could. He's the newest Lantern and the least experienced, not to mention that Parallax is a monster that gets stronger with everything he destroys. This whole movie just kept introducing all these plot points and then later in the movie either contradicting them or never returning to them. This probably stems from the fact that there were way too many writers who wrote portions of the script, and the film never seems to have a central focus. It keeps bouncing back and forth from Earth to space, from Hector to Parallax, and it never seems to decide what kind of character they want Hal Jordan to be. But before the movie ends, the audience is treated to one final insult. Why would Sinestro do this? Was he evil the whole time? There's no context for this either. Did they just expect us to know that he's evil because his name sounds like the word sinister? There is absolutely no build-up for Sinestro becoming evil, except to possibly set up a sequel.
All of you may think we're being nitpicky with our review of this film. Well, maybe we are. But that stems from the simple fact that we can't connect with or feel anything for these characters or their situations. Superhero films can be a hard concept to sell on the surface, because the premise at times can be truly outlandish, which distances our real world from the comic book world. What makes up for this is a human connection with the characters and situations. In Green Lantern, they try to establish Hal as a man coping with his father's death, a man living in his father's shadow, a man who is unable to deal with fear, a man who's unable to deal with responsibility, a man who needs to put family first, a man who's unable to commit to any one woman. A focus on any one of these could have made a great story, if done right. But the problem is, none of them were. We get a character who has one unexplained flashback to his father's death, one or two passing references to a man needing to be like his dad, an irresponsible man who's rarely irresponsible, a fearless man who has to deal with his problems of fear, a pointless scene with a nephew that will never be referenced again, and an unrealistic romance. It's just so hard to feel for the characters that we're supposed to want to follow, and as a result, the flaws, those little flaws and inconsistencies become more and more apparent, and they become the focus of the film. You know what? Maybe it's good this film turned out how it did. We now officially have a film describing how not to make a superhero movie.
And so our review comes to an end. Thanks for watching.
Brightest day, blackest night. No evil shall escape my sight. Let those who worship evil's might beware my power. Green Lantern's life.
Though, it could be worse. Could have been this.
Would you please pull over the car? I am going to get sick.
Oh, okay, all right.
Captain! Are you okay? You just... Hold it! No, wait, don't leave me out here!
I still think Green Lantern is worse.